There is a very strange truth. Many of the smartest, most sensitive, most introverted people are also the most exhausted. Not because they do more than everyone else, but because in their minds, things never truly stop. One small comment gets replayed. One unusual look gets analyzed. One short text message is enough to keep them thinking all night. If you are the kind of person who always asks yourself, did I say something wrong or did they misunderstand me, then this video may be speaking directly to you. Here is the irony. The very thing that makes you deeper than other people is also the thing that drains you. You are careful. You notice emotions. You pick up signals that others miss. But in return, your mind rarely agrees to rest. It always wants to check one more time. Consider one more possibility. Prepare for one more scenario. And that is why you feel tired, even when your body has not done much at all. In psychology, this pattern has a fairly clear name: maladaptive repetitive rumination. Simply put, it is when the mind keeps returning to the same problem, the same memory, the same fear over and over again, not because you enjoy suffering, not because you are weak, but because your brain tends to cling to uncertainty. It hates gray areas. It wants to understand. It wants control. Many people think overthinking is a sign of weakness, but often it is not. A lot of people who think too much actually have brains that are highly skilled at recognizing patterns. They see connections, risks, and tiny shifts in attitude, tone of voice, and atmosphere. The problem is that this system is too good at its job. It keeps working even when it does not need to. It keeps scanning, analyzing, and warning, like a security system that does not know how to turn off the alarm. Imagine it this way. There is a part of the brain responsible for planning, analyzing, and self-reflection. In people who overthink, that part is often highly active. At the same time, the brain's default thinking system also refuses to rest. So, even when everything is quiet on the outside, it is still noisy on the inside. You may be lying down to rest, but your mind is in a meeting, reviewing the past, preparing for the future, writing answers to conversations that have not even... What matters is that this pattern usually does not appear out of nowhere in adulthood. It often begins very early. When a child grows up in an unpredictable environment, where adults' emotions change without warning, where even a small mistake has serious consequences, the child's brain learns a very clear lesson. If you want to be safe, you have to anticipate. You have to read facial expressions. You have to listen carefully to tone of voice. You have to prepare for every possibility. In other words, overthinking was once a survival skill. So if you are someone who is always thinking too much, maybe the first thing you need is not self-blame. Maybe your nervous system is simply doing exactly what it once learned to do in order to protect you. The problem is that this old strategy may have stayed with you for too long. It once helped you avoid danger, but now it also makes it hard to sleep, hard to decide, hard to relax, and hard to feel truly at peace. Not every kind of deep thinking is bad. There is one kind that helps you understand yourself better, process emotions more clearly, and see life more deeply. That is reflective thinking. But there is another kind. It is when you get trapped in a spiral with no way out. You think without solving anything. You only get more tired, more anxious, more confused. And the hardest part is that the line between these two kinds is very thin. Many times you think you are gaining a deeper understanding of the problem, when in reality, you are only sinking deeper into it. And this is where it becomes dangerous. Overthinking often feels a lot like problem solving, because your brain is busy, active, analyzing. So you think, I am getting closer to the answer. But no, many times you are only moving in circles. The same question, the same fear, the same conversation. If you have ever been like that, comment number 8. I want to know how many people look completely normal on the outside while inside their minds have never truly been quiet. Because your brain also rewards you for doing it. Every time you analyze, imagine scenarios, or try to solve a problem in your head, your brain may release a small sense that you are working on it. Even without a real answer, it still feels like you are doing something useful. That is why the phrase, "just stop thinking about it," sounds simple, but is almost useless. You cannot just flip a switch and turn off a nervous system that has been conditioned to stay alert for years. But overthinking also reveals something else about you. There is a good chance that you are extremely sensitive to emotions. You understand things that no one says out loud. You notice even the smallest change in another person's energy. You know exactly where words can hurt someone. You walk into a room and feel the atmosphere immediately. In other words, the thing that is exhausting you is also the thing that makes you deep. You are not superficial. You feel more. You notice more. And that is the exhaustion of people who think too much. They see every possibility. They understand many perspectives. They consider everything very carefully. But the more they think, the farther they get from clarity. Because not every problem can be solved by thinking. Some things must be felt. Some things must be decided. Some things must be let go. Otherwise, you will keep trying to use thought to solve things that can only be healed through acceptance. Modern therapeutic approaches usually do not ask you to shut your thoughts down. They teach you to change your relationship with your thoughts. In other words, instead of immediately believing everything that appears in your mind, you learn to observe it. Instead of "everything is dangerous, I have to deal with it right now," you shift to "my brain is creating a fear right now. It is only a small distance, but it is a very important one." Because the moment you stop fusing with every thought, it begins to lose some of its power. Maybe what people who overthink need most is not another productivity trick, not forcing themselves to be stronger, not blaming themselves with, "Why am I always like this?" What they need is a sense of safety, a reminder that they do not always need to be on guard. They do not always need to prepare for the worst. They do not always need to keep checking themselves just to deserve peace. Sometimes healing is simply letting the nervous system know that it is allowed to rest now. So if you are someone who thinks too much, please do not rush to see it as a flaw in your personality. Maybe it is just a brain that grew up in uncertainty, so now it is still used to working overtime to protect you. But you do not have to live in that mode forever. You can learn peace again. You can learn not to believe every thought. And you can become lighter, not by becoming cold or indifferent, but because you have finally learned how to soften toward yourself. If you see yourself in this video, comment number 9 so I know you made it this far. Thank you for staying. And do not forget to like and subscribe so I can keep making videos like